мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
We are under attack. It is an attack against Western democracies and on the institutions that bind them.
What Russia's much more interested in doing is depicting the West as a failure.
The regime and President Yanukovych, they were trying to protect their enormous wealth.
This is Kremlin File.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Kremlin File. We are super pleased today to welcome Eto Buziashvili here with us, okay? And we're going to be talking all about Russian psychological information warfare. And Eto, I can't tell you how excited I am that you're actually with us. I really appreciate your work.
Me too.
We've been following, Olga and I have been following all of the stuff that you're doing. So, we're super excited. This is great.
We just need to clone you into like 10,000 more.
Exactly. Good. That's a good.
Thank you so much for having me. It's like one of my favorite podcasts, and I'm super excited to be here with you. Thank you again.
Great. And so I think maybe let's just jump in. Or Olga, you wanted to say something else?
No, I'm good.
No,
I'm just super excited, and this is one of my favorite topics. We will be talking about disinformation and Russia, how they have waged a war against us, and basically indoctrinated a third of our population to make them unrecognizable. So we will be tapping into that. So go ahead, Mo. Let's start.
Eto, we'll be getting into specific, details about Russia's psychological information warfare, specifically, let's say, with Ukraine and, the West, all right, in a minute. But let's start off more, let's say, with the basics, on the basics of what this all means, How does Russia employ disinformation tactics, as a tool of warfare? Because this is an important fact, and getting also the terminology correct is important, and all of that kind of thing. And then if you could also expand a little bit about what are the goals that they use, What are the goals that they have in using these tools?
Sure. We're talking about the KGB playbook of using a mix of different methods to undermine the main enemy. This is how the USSR was referring to the United States back then, and this is how they are basically viewing the whole collective West, the free and democratic societies that represent the biggest threat and fear of the Kremlin. Disinformation was one of the tools in the USSR toolkit of active measures, which also included measures like political repressions, assassinations, poisonings, penetration of agents, etc. Pretty much all of this we're seeing today. And disinformation was among those measures used actively by the USSR leadership and the KGB. What has changed from the USSR period to the modern Kremlin period are basically two things. Like the general strategy remains the same, but two things that are new are the following. The first one is, of course, technology, because everyone is currently, we are all connected to internet, and we are one click away from being a victim of a massive deceptive campaign, the disinformation campaign, for example. And the second thing is that the Kremlin currently is trying to undermine the notion of objective truth. And what I mean in here is that if before, for example, during the USSR, if we recall one of the main, very famous disinformation campaign, the Operation Infection, another name of this operation is AIDS disinformation campaign, when basically the whole USSR was accusing and trying to prove that US artificially developed AIDS virus in some kind of biolabs, and they spread it to to cause various harms in various countries. So this was one lie, and everybody was pushing this one lie to prove that the truth. What we're currently saying is that the Kremlin and their actors, they do not push one lie. They push various narratives, even they are contradicting to each other. But they are pushing tens of so-called alternative truths of what happened, so that they make a reader exhausted at the end of the day, and nobody basically cares about the truth. So this is what we're seeing, and this is what is undermining the notion of objective truth. That everybody has their truth. There does not exist one truth. This is what the Kremlin is trying to do. And it's been years that we're observing this massive export of these Kremlin lies and disinformation beyond Russia's borders. And it's done in tens of languages, like to reach broader audiences, using thousands of channels. And the objective is, the broader objective is one and only: to destabilize the West, to destabilize the governments and societies that the Kremlin thinks that it represents threat to them. And of course, these narratives and tactics, they are tailored to different societies and audiences, because something that would work in Germany, it might not work in Moldova, because the contexts are different, and that's why they are trying to diversify these tactics here. And just to briefly highlight the current situation in the context of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, basically currently the Kremlin is, of course, trying to justify war using various methods, but currently they have kind of divided their target audiences roughly into four. One audience is Russian domestic audience, where Kremlin tries to maintain this support to the war. The second audience is Ukrainian audience, where they try to destabilize and demoralize Ukrainian society. The third audience is the West, where they try to decrease support of Ukraine. And the fourth and new audience for the Kremlin, relatively new, is a so-called global South. I'm not a huge fan of this term, but it basically, they unite the Latin American countries, the countries on African continent, where they try to find allies.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. Right. The only thing I would add, I don't know if you like what you think, Eto, is the use of Western propagandists, because this has become so frequent that, I mean, you literally have people, in the case of Ukraine, for instance, who prior to 2022 never even wrote the word Ukraine, and suddenly from morning to night are just sitting and, you know, pushing all Kremlin garbage out. And that's it, and obsessively. And I mean, it's disheartening, because they're using our own people to basically hack us.
Yeah, against us. Actually, I do have a question with a specific target group that, you know, watching, reviewing a whole bunch of TikTok videos and also on Telegram, the whole target group of young people that they're now targeting. Do you have any information on that? Because I've been seeing, for example, lots of kids, and I'm talking high school range, also maybe some young university students, but very young, and they seem to be pushing these narratives in the native language. As you said, it's one of the target groups, one of the areas where they craft the narrative towards them. Have you been monitoring this, and do you have any observations about it?
Yes, absolutely. The young people, youth groups are one of the main targets of the Kremlin. One of the reasons is that they will be voting soon, and they will be influencing the decision of their governments when they have voting rights. And another thing is they are pretty much loud. They are confident. They are free souls who are not afraid to have their opinions, etc. And of course, to reach them, you need a content which will be entertaining, which won't be like, I don't know, 300 pages of books or
Yeah.
the long read articles. And that's why that regime has turned to entertaining content such as videos. And TikTok here is one of the main players, which is a video platform, which basically has really short videos that can everyone scroll. I don't know, hundreds of videos on a daily basis. And we're seeing massive, huge operations taking on TikTok. Some of them are, for example, related to demonization of the Ukrainian government, and it was one of the latest campaigns that was unrevealed. The Russian actors, they were using AI generated content to claim to kind of sow division, not only in the Ukrainian society and Ukrainian youth, but also claim that there are some divisions between Ukrainian elite, Ukrainian leadership, or, for example, one of the interesting cases was when there were videos created which were falsely claiming that Zelensky or other military leadership, they are taking your money and they are buying the villas, or they are living all their luxurious lives, and that's how you're basically living your poor life while your political elite is living their best lives. And TikTok is just one of the platforms where these massive influence operations are happening. I would also like to highlight one of the latest investigations, the Doppelgänger case. It was one of the latest tactics revealed starting in 2022, which was targeting European countries. And the Doppelgänger is a persistent malign influence operation that includes cloning and impersonating international media and government websites with the fake ones. And then they are posting the fake content, mostly anti-Ukrainian one. And this, the name itself, Doppelgänger, was given to the operation because of its usage of the clones of the authentic media and authentic government sources. Several organizations and platforms have investigating various parts of this Doppelgänger network, including us at the Atlantic Council's DFRLab. It seems that the Doppelgänger was active starting from May 2022, and it actively targeted more than 8 countries. And in December 2022, Meta, the Facebook parent company, they attributed Doppelgänger to 2 Russian companies, which were also connected to Russian government. Interestingly, so how this operation was conducted? The malicious actors behind this network bought tens of internet domain names similar to ones of authentic media and copied their design. They produced fake articles, fake videos, fake posts, and concurrently, they have created fake accounts on social media like Facebook and Twitter, and they amplified this fake content from those fake websites on social media. They also paid lots of money for online ads to advertise this fake content and to reach as broad audience as possible. And in addition to targeting European societies, the malign actors amplified stories and posts from those websites or accounts on Ukrainian social media, meaning that, for example, they were planting these so-called Western stories to Ukrainian society to show that the Western media, for example, reports on the developments in this way. One of the fake accounts was impersonating German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, and this account once tweeted that the war in Ukraine will be over in 3 months, And this is how this was when the German authorities launched an investigation into that account, and they found that this tweet was amplified by more than 50,000 fake accounts. And they were not only amplifying this tweet, but they were also engaged in the general operation. So yeah, the officials believe that this Doppelgänger campaign, all of these parts are basically linked to Russian government, and the aim here was to first decrease support to Ukraine in the Western societies, and second, also to target the Ukrainian audiences. But of course, these are not only tactics. There are so many other tactics used by the Kremlin in their info ops, like weaponization of the comment section, for example. This continues to be one of the tactics where the pro-Kremlin malicious actors, they attempt to influence public opinion in the Western countries by leaving comments in support of the Kremlin interest under the Western news articles. And then these comments from the pro-Kremlin actors, they are cited by Russian media to give the impression that they represent public opinion in the Western audiences.
Okay. So it's bounced back, basically.
Yes, exactly. It's bounced back.
That tactic was perfected in Ukraine, because this, I remember in the early 2000s, when Russia was trying to have influence inside Ukraine, and they would write these detailed comments in the section that had a slight hint of Kremlin propaganda. But when Russia attacked us in 2016, they used the same tactic, but they shifted to using memes towards Americans versus writing like these very like intelligent style like comments that they were doing in Ukrainian press. And it was like fascinating to see the same tactic, they just adjusted it towards the audience.
Hi, everybody. If you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to help us out with our independent work, please subscribe to Kremlin File on Substack and on our YouTube channel. Kremlin File is hosted by Olga and me, Monique Camarra. Our production team is headed by Maddie Kaparov, and the theme music by Oreste Camarra. So please don't forget to visit our Kremlin File Substack for links to our socials and to wherever you'd like to listen to podcasts.